Italian Football Podcast.
Right, just going to move myself a bit forward, make sure I don't knock the table, because every time I do that, the internet goes off. Right, so, right. Okay.
I've got this vision in my mind of like a cartoon where everything in your house is like the Flintstones. There's like a dinosaur running, like to get the electricity going, and there's like hamsters running in a wheel to get the internet.
Well, with this internet, yeah, I just upgraded my internet, and it's still, there's still something not quite right. The internet, right? Okay, let's start. Before we go in game by game, I want to talk about the big talking point among all of Serie A's fans this weekend, but also pundits. This is the big talking point, and it came about. It's kind of been simmering, bubbling a little bit this season already. It's something I've been thinking about, certainly, and I've been speaking about it with my friends. But it really, really kind of came to a fore on Saturday, because the first 4 games of the Serie A weekend, these were the results: 1-0, 0-0, 0-0, 0-0. So 1 goal in the first 4 matches of Serie A. And as I said, this led to a big discussion among Serie A fans whether the Serie A had declined in quality, but certainly has it declined in entertainment this season. And I think that it's a very valid debate to have, because there is a bit of a goal crisis in Serie A this season, certainly compared to past seasons. I'll read you out some numbers. So 2019 and 2020-21 season, there was an average of over 3 goals a game in Serie A. 2021-22, there was an average of 2.87 goals a game. 22-23, 2.56. 2023-24, 2.61. 2024-25, last season, 2.56. Now, this season, that average has plummeted to 2.2 per match. It might even be lower, because I checked this number on Saturday. So it might have even gone lower now. And that is, by quite some distance, the lowest goal average in Europe's top 5 leagues this season. Bundesliga is way over 3 per game. Liga, just under 3. Premier League and La Liga, just under 2.7. And then Serie A is way down, as I said, 2.2. And if you look at the list of top scorers in Serie A this season, it's quite depressing viewing, to be honest. There's Çalhanoğlu top of the scorers charts with 5, Orsolini with him on 5. Then you've got Paz, Berardi, Pulisic, Anguissa, Castro, Leao, Bonazzoli, Pinamonti, Simeone, De Bruyne, all on 4. Many of these goals that I've read here are by these players are penalties. And to finally, and this is really damning, have a look at, with the exception of Inter, have a look at the strikers in each of the big teams in Serie A, and it's a total disaster, complete unmitigated disaster. I'm not going to read out their names, but just read out the clubs. Juventus, look at their number 9s. Roma's number 9s. Milan's number 9s. Napoli's. It's basically just Inter's strikers or forwards that are performing this season. So with this goal crisis, Nima, that we're seeing this season, is this something we should be worried about? Is there a quality crisis? What do you make of it all?
Well, I want to pick up on that last point, because the entertainment thing is not interesting at all from where I'm standing. I look, for me, the most important thing is the quality. Is there a quality crisis? And I think there's absolutely no doubt that there is. In years gone past, just to counter that point, because I know what's about to come with people saying, oh, historically, Serie A has always been low scoring. Yes, it has. But in those years, the 70s and 80s and 90s and noughties, you had the best defenders in the world, the best goalkeepers in the world, the best attackers in the world, the best coaches in the world, and they cancelled each other out. In the Serie A right now, you do not have the best defenders in the world. You don't have the best attackers in the world. You might have some of the best coaches in the world. I think that tactically they're better than the the average. And by what I mean by not the best, because I know some people deliberately don't want to understand, it doesn't mean that there aren't world-class players. It means that out of the top 10 defenders and strikers and goalkeepers in the world, before 8 or 9 or all 10 played in the Serie A, now we're down to 1, 2. That's the huge difference. And we know the reason for that, and that's because the more money you have, the more quality you can bring in. There's also another reason of that, and that's something we've spoken about, and that is that the overall quality of top football from a technical point of view, a skill point of view, has dropped immensely. So it's multifaceted, it's nuanced. So, but I do think that there is a quality crisis, absolutely. And I think this definitely shows in the attacking department, as you said yourself, because I think Juventus on paper have a good attacking setup. Inter have as well. Napoli, okay. But other than that, it's a bloodbath. I can't remember in my lifetime a Serie A with such attacking quality ever. I have never seen it.
Lack of.
What?
Lack of attacking quality.
Well, yeah, exactly. Lack of, exactly. That's what I mean. Like the lack of attacking quality, the lack of quality in the final third is the lowest it has ever been in my lifetime. I don't remember it ever being this poor. And again, it doesn't mean that there is one or two fantastic attacking talent. We're talking overall here, the average. The average has never been lower. And that is what we're seeing manifest itself. And that's just not something that, it's not just something that we're kind of, seeing in terms of the number of goals scored, but also the if you look at the games, the level of, when they get to the final third, the lack of imagination, the lack of creativity, the lack of quality in the final third, not just the finishing, is genuinely atrocious. And I hate to be repetitious.
We're the Italian football podcast, everyone.
Well, we are, but we don't do North Korean state TV or state TV, I should say, because it's state TV in all countries are now just basically, Baghdad Bob on steroids. But it's, we don't do that. We have to be honest about what we see, and we have to be, nuance it and, discuss it from this angle and that angle. And that's what we're doing. And that's why people come here. And the issue is exactly that. And for me, when I watch it, there's a positive side, which we're going to get to later when we're talking about the Scudetto race. But the negative side of that manifests itself in what we've seen this weekend overall, because the individual games, we have to analyze them and pick them apart as well, and which we will do. But I think overall, that is also demonstrated in how the Italian teams perform in Europe last season, but also this season.
This season's not been good so far, apart from
last season wasn't very good either.
No, last season wasn't very good, but this season, even in the group stages, has been bad, apart from Inter.
I think last season we already saw signs of that. I think already last season in Europe we saw signs of a decline, a drop off. Whereas maybe a few years before that, it was looking.
Well, that's the thing. I think everything you said is 100% right about the lack of quality, but I don't think it's just the quality. There's other reasons as well, because like I said, in 2019 to 2022-ish, Serie A was the highest scoring league of the top 5 leagues, and we used to champion that, and we used to use that. That was a big selling point for Serie A. It was okay. The quality is not what it was, right? It's not the best league, or even the second best league in Europe, but it's entertaining. There's high scoring games. Teams are attacking. It's attacking football. And that was a selling point. This season, it's a lack of quality, but it's also defensive football. There's too many defensive. It's an attitude issue as well. There's too many defensive coaches this season in Serie A. There's too much caution, and there's too many. And this is something I've been saying for a long while now. There's too many back threes, or actually back fives, let's say, because there's a 3-5-2 and then there's a 5-3-2. Depends how you play the system, and there's too many 5-3-2s in Serie A, and every teams are just cancelling each other out, playing this kind of just unimaginative. Oh, let's just play a back three because it's what everybody knows. It's what everybody knows how to do, and nobody wants to take risks, and it's manifesting itself that way. And when Gasparini's teams are defensive or not really attacking and scoring goals, then you've got a problem. But there's other coaches who are not attacking, because Gasparini is an attacking coach, but there are too many defensive coaches in Serie A this season. I think it's great that Spalletti's back. That will definitely help. And it's not good. I think that the other issue is the conditioning. We've got a real problem, and we've spoken about the injuries and the way that we're having once been ahead of the rest of the world in training, in conditioning, in the medical department in the 90s. We were way ahead of everyone. Diet, nutrition, all of that. We were way ahead. Now we're behind the rest of the world. Our teams are so badly, on the whole, our teams are so badly conditioned. It's unacceptable that, for example, to take Juventus, I know Juventus are a case in their own, the way that the dreadful way that club is run, but Juventus, by the end of September, the players were exhausted. And I'm thinking, you're in September and you already look like you're at the end of the season. And I'm seeing so many of these teams in Serie A. Inter are probably the only team that look well conditioned at the moment. We'll get to them later. They look really fit. The other teams, they look even Atalanta, who traditionally have been incredibly fit. And the teams just look exhausted. You're watching, it looks like end of season games in Serie A. I think that's an issue, because the tempo is we know that the tempo is slow in Serie A already, but it's not a good watching this kind of almost like walking football at times. And then the other issue, and this is something that was driving me mad, and it's making the league almost unwatchable at the moment. The refs are killing Serie A by whistling too much, giving too many free kicks, too many stoppages, too many cheap free kicks, rewarding diving and time wasting. Now, I'm not going to blame the players on this, because if they're going to get away with it, they're going to get away with it. I'm not talking about diving to try and win penalties. I'm talking about defenders that are just buying free kicks by, an attacker's on them. They just feel the lightest touch or no touch at all, and they just throw themselves to the ground. And the referees always give free kicks. Now, this is a problem all over football to an extent, but the defenders and goalkeepers are protected species. Like the referees will always just be like, oh, if the defender goes down or the goalkeeper goes down, I'm just going to give them the benefit of any doubt that there is and give them a free kick. I know that's just psychologically, that's just how football works. That's how referees' minds work. They don't want to take the risk of giving away a goal, so they give. But in Italy, it's way over the top, and you're seeing play just stopped all the time for the cheapest free kicks, and there's no flow in the game, and that is making it absolutely unwatchable. And this weekend, honestly, there were so many examples of this that drove me mad. I mean, I remember watching, there was Cagliari Como, there was an incident where the ball went in the box, Caprile came out, he didn't even get tickled. There was barely any touch at all. It was basically no touch at all. He throws himself to the ground, wins a free kick. There you go. There's another 45 seconds, 1 minute stoppage, because Cagliari were trying to hold on for a 0-0 draw. There was one in the Bologna-Napoli game where Miranda got like a little tickle here, like on his top of his chest, threw himself down, holding his face. Torino were holding on. They were just doing it all the time. I mean, it was every game. I'm not saying it's one team. It was generally it's the defending team. The team holding on will do more of it, but it's just in general. It's more. I'm talking about more about the referees, that they're giving too many free kicks. The threshold for a free kick in the middle of the pitch or in the defensive phase it's too low, and it's
But
just
that's always been like that in the Serie A. It's not nothing new.
To an extent, yes, but at the moment, when you've got all this other stuff going on, it's too much. The constant stoppages are killing the flow of the game. It's making games unwatchable. And this weekend, some of the games were unwatchable. I'll be honest with you, and I hate to say this as a Serie A fan, I really found it difficult watching the Serie A this weekend. Like, if it wasn't for this podcast, I'd be honest, I would switch out and not watch the games. That's how bad they were this weekend.
Yeah, I mean,
and if that's
I think
me saying it, imagine
it's
what it's going to be like for fans or people you're trying to win over to Serie A. We're trying to sell this league. How would you sell this league? You know, we were struggling to sell TV rights. We can't sell a life jacket on the Titanic as it is, and we're going to try and sell this. I mean,
I think the problem with the referees has been a long time brewing, and it goes down to Rocky. I think when it comes to the referees, there is literally one person to blame, and that is Rocky. He's been in charge as the Serie A designator, as the top person to communicate to the referees the level they're supposed to keep in terms of interpreting and applying the laws of the game. And he has failed miserably, because after 4 or 5 years, when you see referees this confused about what to do, when the VAR is supposed to intervene, when it's not supposed to intervene, what level to keep, and they don't know what the hell they're doing, and all he does is come out and fry and criticize and throw certain referees under the bus, demote them to the Serie B, and not be able to see an improvement, but instead we see a deterioration, then it's clear that the organization, the person in charge of that organization, is simply not fit to hold the office he does, which is a problem overall in the Serie A as a whole, which we've discussed, much to the discontent of them, as we're both kind of aware of. They're not too happy about that. But the less said about that, the better. But this is a problem, and I hope that he is removed. I have a pipe dream of Collina returning and becoming the Serie A designator. I'd rather get rid of Rocky, and I think if you have someone who's at least better at communicating across the board, internally as well as externally, on how to apply the laws of the game, the level they're supposed to keep, when the VAR is supposed to intervene, when it's not supposed to intervene, that would resolve the refereeing issue to a certain extent. Because again, this weekend we saw some inexplicably insane decisions, inconsistent from game to game, and also within the games themselves. As for the defensive mind of the coaches, look, again, I don't think the coaches per se are more defensive. I think there is a risk minimizing cultural element of the Serie A, which will never go away, and it shouldn't, because it's a unique selling point and it's a unique part of the Serie A. For me, I go back to the quality. The attacking quality just isn't there. And this is, again, this is the reason you and I do critically analyze the Serie A, because we want the league to do well. But in order to do well, you need to attract more business. You need to make it more. You need to have more money coming in order to attract the best attacking talent. Serie A isn't doing that, and pretending that everything is fine when it isn't is not what.
Well, no, the reason why we do this, the reason why we criticize, is because we can see where Serie A is going. And if this is the kind of football that is on offer, the quality, the entertainment that is in offer, then there's only one way, one direction the Serie A is going to go. And
it's
when it comes
down the toilet, it's straight down the toilet.
Yeah, and when it comes to TV rights, which we already know the Serie A is incapable of doing any kinds of negotiations. How the hell? And this is the only bit of sympathy I would have for those negotiators. How the hell do you sell this product to TV stations, what we've seen this season or what we've seen this weekend? How would you go to them and say, okay, would you like to buy the Serie A off us? Here's what we've got. 1-0, 0-0. How would you sell that? You couldn't.
And especially with stadiums that are 40, 50 years old, haven't been refurbished in decades. Production value, which of course then is hampered as a result of the lack of technical ability to create a modern product.
And you've got a new generation. We're trying to sell this to a new generation. Our generation, even though we're here sitting and criticizing The generation that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, those generations can sit there and say, Serie A's gone so downhill, and moan and cry about it as we are now. But they'll still watch it because that's what you do. When you love, it's like having, we're always going to watch Serie A, however bad it goes. It's like having a son who's a serial killer. You're still, part of you still going to love him because he's your son. Do you know what I mean? It's so, that's
no, that's exactly what it is.
And a new generation, those who haven't grown up.
That's exactly the point.
Those who haven't grown up on the Serie A being, a great league. And, we've got to remember, again, the Italy national team hasn't qualified for the World Cup for over a generation. So we've lost a whole generation there. And when you've got this younger generation who are already, it's a crisis, that young generation, their attention spans are no longer than 5 seconds. And they just want all they want is cheap thrills. Well, you're not going to get cheap thrills from Serie A.
The attention span of goldfish is essentially,
that's being generous. That is, I mean, so how the hell do you sell this to a person, to a young person, a youngster who's on his phone all day and just wants 5-second cheap thrills off TikTok? You're not. So we're in a delicate situation, and yeah, I don't know what the solution is.
There's lots of problems, and for me, it's not just one thing. And I want to push, I really want to push this. It's the perfect storm. It's the manifestation, the pinnacle of decades of poor management, not from the league, from the authorities, from the FA, the FIGC. All of the things that we've discussed, it's not just one thing. If anything, I want people to understand about this podcast, it's that it's you have to understand all of the things we discuss as a whole into context. Essentially, it's just one long conversation. All episodes tie into one another. So remember that it's not just now. We're not doing this kind of reactionary just now. No, we're talking. This is you should every episode we've ever done when we've discussed the problems in youth development, the lack of pathway, the poor selling, the poor structure, all of these things all together this is the perfect storm, the manifestation of all those issues that we've discussed through the years. And it's kind of become, this season, it's become really, really tangible. It is not a high quality season. It really is a season where it's become so evident that you can't hide from it. But there are positives to that as well. And I'm sure we're going to get to that.
Well, let's move on to the games now.